Good morning, and thanks so much for tuning into the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Neeraj Shah, and let's take stock of the situation. Let's first look at what the equity markets around the world are doing. Then we will get to the inflation data and the chart, which shows what's happening around Asia as well on the inflation front. But first, the US markets, in a small sort of a way, with a very small uptick. The S&P 500 had another record close, so to say, so third record close, if you will, but very flattish moves. The Nasdaq did reasonably okay. In fact, 0.75% in the green for the Nasdaq, and the how do I say it? The Russell 2000, which is the small cap index, actually underperformed, so to say. So keep that at the back of your mind, that this is what the US markets did. Marginally higher for the Nasdaq, as you see. The chart that you see is the Nasdaq. Of course, the Dow and the S&P didn't have as strong a close, by the way, but still in the positive. Asia today and the SGX Nifty are probably showing you moves which are, how do I say, flattish in nature. The SGX Nifty was up about 10 points. This is the Asian screen, as you can see. And, some indices marginally in the red, some in the green. So it's a mixed bag. Just that the SGX Nifty, the index which matters to us, to just give an indication, frankly, even that doesn't matter, but just to give us an indication, popping between the red and the green, was up about 10 points at about 730, now about 70 odd points lower. So just about a flattish move. Now the big news, viewers, and first we'll get to the Asian side and then we'll come to the Indian side, that if you look at, the WPI inflation data was known, right? The Indian WPI numbers were up about 12.7%. And obviously due to supply side constraints, right? If the manufacturing activity across states are shut, and that is probably true for a lot of other Asian indices and probably some of the emerging markets as well, then obviously the rates would go up because there is not enough production being done. Now, I reckon that is why WPI was so high. As a result of WPI being high, CPI inflation rose in part due to WPI as well and production curves, and therefore the supply side pressures were felt. Rural inflation rose, and as a result of it, CPI, 6-month high in the month of May, 6.3% compared to 4.2% in the month of April. That's the extent of the uptick that we saw in CPI. This is the big news that came about in trade yesterday. Now, does this spook the markets and worry investors? I guess not. I think everybody is now probably saying that it might be better to act once the central banks announce a decision, than as opposed to trying to preempt it, which is what the state of the equity market seems to be right now because of the flush of liquidity. But can that, will it change if indeed the Fed in tomorrow night's announcement talks about taper, talks about some hawkishness? Will all of that change? That's the big thing. So as much as last week we were saying that the yield uptick would be a big thing, and it probably was, but the markets didn't react, could tomorrow be the big thing? And therefore, would people want to be light ahead of that? It's the key thing. So I think that's the trade setup. Yes, I have multiple other points to say, which is that the markets are holding up well on the down days, but the breadth is now starting to be a concern, and how Reliance and Nifty IT strength is a key factor for the bulls in the very short term. And yes, I'm watching out for MFIs because of the consultation paper yesterday, or the economy opening up themes in trade. And all of these are very important points. But I think the overarching point around all of this is what the Fed says yesterday. And if the Fed does something, if the Fed does something tomorrow, or if the Fed says something tomorrow, which is arguably the most important point to monitor for the very short term. So be careful. A lot of smart money might be staying light on leverage ahead of the Fed meet tomorrow. Now, what are the earnings what should we watch out for today? That's the other key point, right? So there are some very important earnings at the broader end of the spectrum. Jubilant FoodWorks, LIC Housing Finance, Power Finance Corporation. We all know the kind of rally that these PFC, RECs and the power stocks have had. So very important. Lemon Tree Hotels, and the commentary from them would be important from an opening up theme. What's the expectation on occupancies, etc. Whirlpool expected to be a pretty smart set of numbers. And Ease My Trip, asset light, debt-free model. Will they be able to show some uptick or tell us about some signs of positivity? We'll be talking to the management tomorrow, by the way, and that will give us a clear indication of how the economy opening up things might be doing. So keep an eye out for all of these. Now, what are the stocks to watch in the session today? I'll watch out for the Adani Group stocks today. There's the NSDL statement says that the domestic accounts, the FPIs owning the Adani Group stocks are not frozen. Now, what I also urge all of you to do is, if you are confused about what does this mean, because some of the media houses were saying that the accounts are frozen. The Adani's statement says that it is not frozen. Now, this story by my colleague Sajid Mangat tells you exactly what's the thing. I mean, so I can really lay out, but I would urge all of you to read about this in particular. So there's a dichotomy out there between the domestic accounts and the foreign accounts, and that led to a bit of confusion. However, I do believe that there might be some merit in some of these stocks, or not merit really, but some possibility of some of these stocks moving up in the session today. I do urge viewers to take note of the fact that Citi, for example, has come out with a note saying that they maintain that buy with the target price of 1,000, and they say that while the negative news flow in the group companies is a sentiment positive on the stock, because Adani Port itself has not had any kind of issues around the frozen accounts. It's the other Adani Group stocks. They are saying that this news flow is unlikely to have an impact on the business prospects of the operations of the financials, and the valuations at current prices are attractive. So Citi believes that their target of $1,000 on Adani Ports stays. So keep in mind that other group companies might have an issue. Adani Ports doesn't have an issue. What are the other stocks to monitor? Coal India, the Q4 numbers came out. Revenues at 26,700 versus the Bloomberg estimate of 26,367. EBITDA at 6,382 versus the Bloomberg estimate of 5,942. So operationally, very strong set of numbers, as a result of which the PAT numbers didn't quite go up as much as the Bloomberg estimates, but still did reasonably okay, if you will. And of course, the realizations for both the FSA as well as the e-auction segment aided the Q4 numbers. It's declared a final dividend of 3.5 rupees per share. I think what everybody would be watching out for would be whether the July numbers from Adani Ports turn out to be better than estimated on the price uptake. I think there's a price revision scheduled for the month of July, and I think everybody will be watching out for that. But I must tell you, viewers, we all know that despite good numbers or bad numbers, some of these ESG themes are still not doing well. So maybe the time to buy these would be in the time of a breakout. Yes, there is value comfort here, but you don't know when will they start moving up. So maybe club a bit of technical and fundamental piece out here, that the valuations are great. Valuations will be great even if Coal India from the current price of 159 will be at 175. But just watch out for technical comments, speak to a technical analyst. Maybe it might be a better idea to buy these on the breakout, because when the breakout is happening, you know that there are funds getting into it, because these stocks will not move because retailers buy them. They're large equity bases. They'll move only when funds buy them. So maybe, just maybe, the lack of supply might prompt some of these funds to actually buy some of these anti-ESG stocks as well. So be mindful of that before you go out and buy. But net, the numbers are not bad. You might see a flash reaction today. I don't know. JSW Ispat, it's a stock that was doing reasonably okay. They've announced an OFS at a floor price of 27 rupees per share, which is a 52% discount from the previous close. Well, we all know what happened with Axelia Khale. There was a 20% discount, but the cutoff price was way higher. I'm not saying the same would happen. The same could happen. And therefore, don't believe or don't go out shorting this stock intraday, believing that, because it's a 52% discount, the floor price, the stock will correct quite a bit, 15-20%. It could well do that, but there's no certainty around that. I'll watch out for BPCL. Bloomberg says that the government may raise the foreign investment limit to aid BPCL sale. Everything is falling in place for the divestment to take place. Now, will investors pay heed to all of this and say, let me buy the stock, even if it gets divested in 6 months' time, because I can't time it? I'll get returns. So if the returns don't come in 3 months, the returns will come in 6 months, but let me not miss out on that. Could people think like that? Maybe they could. I hear a lot of smart money getting into BPCL, by the way. This announcement, maybe it could bring about a bit of an uptick. So let's wait and watch. There's a Newgen software. Media reports suggest that the promoters will sell about 12% stake in the company via block deals, and the price range is at up to 4% discount. So maybe this stock would be in focus today. And I will watch out for IRB Infra, D-Link, and Strides. So IRB Infra has received a large order. D-Link, there is some institutional buying that has happened here. And Strides, I think NI Therapeutics have partnered with Strides for manufacturing life-saving oral COVID-19 tablet for mild symptoms, of course, but Strides gets into the act as well. So this stock too could be in focus. So IRB, D-Link, and Strides would be very interesting names to monitor. And then, of course, a bunch of names which on price and volume action could be very interesting stocks to monitor in the session today. So I'll actually watch out for all of those too. A bunch of them had some very interesting fund buying as well as delivery-based buying. So I think I'll watch out for each of those. E-Clerks, of course, stays firmly in focus there, but some of the others too, MFI names too out there were in the list. So I think all of those too should be in focus. Net, flattish move for the index. Maybe the market breadth might be okay. Okay, yeah, this is the list. Thanks to my producer. But look at that. Union Bank of India saw some delivery-based buying. ICICI Securities saw some delivery-based buying. Nothing heavy, as you see. The numbers on the delivery percentages are not northwards of 50%, but still some decent buying seen in some names. So let's wait and watch what happens here. So net, watch out for MFI stocks. Watch out for Reliance Industries, of course. Watch out for the Adani Group stocks today, and maybe a result reaction or two in likes of Coal India, etc. These one could be interesting to monitor in the session. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe, have a profitable day, and if you're stepping out of your house, please stay masked up.